Fabius. Part D. From Plutarch's Lives, translated by John Dryden, revised by Arthur Hugh Clough. After Cornelius, Scipio, who was sent into Spain, had driven the Carthaginians, defeated by him in many battles, out of the country, and had gained over to Rome many towns and nations with large resources, he was received at his coming home with unexampled joy and acclamation of the people, who, to show their gratitude, elected him consul for the year ensuing. Knowing what high expectation they had of him, he thought the occupation of contesting Italy with Hannibal a mere old man's employment, and proposed no less a task to himself than to make Carthage the city of the war, fill Africa with arms and devastation, and so oblige Hannibal, instead of invading the countries of others, to draw back and defend his own. And to this end he proceeded to exert all the influence he had with the people. Fabius, on the other side, opposed the undertaking with all his might, alarming the city, and telling them that nothing but the temerity of a hot young man, impassioned, could inspire them with such dangerous counsels, and sparing no means by word or deed to prevent it, he prevailed with the Senate to espouse his sentiments. But the common people thought he envied the fame of Scipio, and that he was afraid lest this young conqueror should achieve some great and noble exploit, and have the glory, perhaps, of driving Hannibal out of Italy, or even of ending the war which had for so many years continued to be, and had been protracted under his management. To say the truth, when Fabius first opposed this project of Scipio, he probably did it out of caution and prudence, in consideration only of the public safety, and out of the danger which the commonwealth might incur. But when he found Scipio every day increasing in the esteem of the people, rivalry and ambition led him further, made him violent and personal in his opposition, for he even applied to Crassus, the colleague of Scipio, and urged him not to yield the command to Scipio, but that, as his inclinations were for it, he should himself in person lead the army to Carthage. And he also hindered the giving the money to Scipio for the war, so that he was forced to raise it upon his own credit and interest from the cities of Etruria, which were extremely attached to him. On the other side, Crassus would not stir against him, nor remove out of Italy, being his own nature averse to all contention, and also having by his office of high priest religious duties to retain him. Fabius therefore tried other ways to oppose the design. He impeded the levies, and disclaimed both in the Senate and to the people that Scipio was not only himself flying from Hannibal, but was also endeavoring to drain Italy of all its forces, and to spirit away the youth of the country to a foreign war, leaving behind them their parents, wives, children, and the city itself, a defenseless prey to the conquering and undefeated army, the undefeated enemy at their doors. Well, same thing. With this, he so alarmed the people that at last they would only allow Scipio for the war, the legions which were in Sicily, and 300 whom he particularly trusted of those men who had served with him in Spain. In these transactions Fabius seems to have followed the dictates of his own wary temper. But after that, Scipio was gone over into Africa, when news almost immediately came to Rome of wonderful exploits and victories, of which the fame was confirmed by the spoils he sent home, of a Numidian king taken prisoner, of a vast slaughter of their men, of 2 camps of the enemy burnt and destroyed, and in them a great quantity of arms and horses, when hereupon the Carthaginians were compelled to send envoys to Hannibal to call him home, and leave his idle hopes in Italy to defend Carthage, when, for such eminent and transcending services, the whole people of Rome cried up and extolled the actions of Scipio. Even then, Fabius, contending that a successor should be sent in his place, alleging for it only the old reason of the mutability of fortune, as if she would be weary of long favoring the same person. With this language many did begin to feel offended. It seemed to be morosity and ill will, the pusillanimity of old age, or a fear that had now become exaggerated, of the skill of Hannibal. Nay, when Hannibal had put his army on shipboard and taken his leave of Italy, Fabius still could not forbear to. I can't get my posture right with the seat situation. Still could not forbear to oppose and disturb the universal joy of Rome, expressing his fears and apprehensions, telling them that the Commonwealth was never in more danger than now, and that Hannibal was a more formidable enemy under the walls of Carthage than ever he had been in Italy, that it would be fatal to Rome whether Scipio should encounter the victorious army still warm with the blood of so many Roman generals, dictators, and consuls slain, and the people were in some degree startled with these declamations, and were brought to believe that the further off Hannibal was, the nearer was their danger. Scipio, however, shortly afterwards fought Hannibal and utterly defeated him, humbled the pride of Carthage beneath his feet, and gave his countrymen joy and exultation, all their hopes, and, long shaken on the seas, restored the state. Fabius Maximus, however, did not live to see the prosperous end of the war and the final overthrow of Hannibal, nor to rejoice in the re-established happiness and security of the Commonwealth. For about the time that Hannibal left Italy, he fell sick and died. At Thebes, Epaminondas died so poor that he was buried in the public charge, and one small iron coin was all, it is said, was found in his house. Fabius did not need this, but the people, as a mark of their affection, defrayed the expenses of his funeral by a private contribution from each citizen of the smallest piece of the coin, thus owning him their common father and making his end no less honorable than his life. And if you let the enemy strengthen off in the thing, yeah, it can be worse than